kidnapping of the president of Venezuela. Ostensibly, we were told, for matters connected with drug trafficking. But now the secret, the worst kept secret ever, is out. The reason why they kidnapped him is because they want Venezuela's oil. But that's not the whole story. As we greet you on this, it was the 17th day today of the month of Rajab, and tonight is the 18th night. From here at the studios of the Islamic Broadcasting Network in my native island of Trinidad in the Caribbean, with Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and with the dua, Allahumma barik lana fi Rajabin wa Shaban wa baligna Ramadan. We are addressing tonight an extremely, and let me repeat it again, extremely important subject and in current affairs. And that's my specialization. I've studied international affairs in 2 universities. I did it at the Institute of International Relations of the University of the West Indies, and I had what a wonderful teacher. Yes, what a wonderful teacher in Professor Leslie Manigat from Haiti, who is the chairman, the director of the Institute. And I came at the top of the class in the exams. And then I went to Geneva to the Graduate Institute of International Studies to again study international relations. So current affairs is a subject in which I have some measure of specialization. And I also bring to bear on my analysis of current affairs my knowledge of the Qur'an, because Allah says in the Qur'an, this is what He says in Surah Al-Nahl, بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم ونزلنا عليك الكتاب تبيانا لكل شيء إلى آخر الآية. And I have sent down this book on thee, O Muhammad, Allah's blessings be upon him, that it might explain all things. And therefore, it might not only explain the past and the present when it was revealed, but also the future. The Qur'an will explain the future. It explains the movement of history. And we are located at a very, very, very interesting moment in history, when it is plain and clear to all of mankind, except perhaps some here in Trinidad, that the United States of America, which has given to the world something called Pax Americana, meaning America wants the rest of the world to submit to it. It must dominate the rest of the world. That's Pax Americana. There's no rival can exist, and no combination of rivals. That Pax Americana, which has had its day in the sunshine, is now in decline. And it is now in its swan song. The American government is now behaving in a very strange way because of the decline of Pax Americana, and as a consequence of that also the decline of the US dollar. So what are we to expect now? We had a session with David Abdullah, who is a political analyst for whom we have a lot of respect. Yes, we have a lot of respect for David Abdullah as a political analyst. And he will be joining us tonight to give us his new views on what has just occurred in Venezuela. But before we invite David to join the discussion, I want to put into the record some of my views on the subject from the perspective of the Qur'an, from the perspective of Islam, from the perspective of Islamic eschatology. Our viewing audience in Trinidad would be able to make calls to join the discussion, to ask questions, and more than that, to offer comments. You'll find the telephone numbers at the bottom of the screen. But this program is also being broadcast live on YouTube, IBN Master, which is the YouTube channel of the IBN cable television. And if you are abroad, I don't know how many would be waking at this time of the night abroad. It would be very late at night. And if you want to call in from abroad and you want a WhatsApp number, then you'll get an email address at the bottom of the screen. And you send an email, and then our staff here will send you a WhatsApp number. We wouldn't put the number on the screen. And then from abroad you can also comment and also ask questions on the subject of the current conduct of the United States of America, the government and the armed forces of the United States of America in this region of the world. And so let me first of all say that Allah spoke in the Qur'an on the subject of what is happening in world affairs. And we have in Islamic eschatology, we have the end time, before the end of the world, the time of Al-Asr, the last hour before the end of the world. And in that end time, there are certain actors who are going to emerge in history. Amongst them, according to Islamic eschatology, is the Antichrist, Dajjal, the false Messiah. Amongst them in Islamic eschatology is Gog and Magog. Amongst them in Islamic eschatology is Dabbatul Ardul, the creature of the earth. We cannot tonight deal with these subjects. No. But this is not unique to Islamic eschatology. They're also in Christian eschatology. They're also in Jewish eschatology. And perhaps there's also a hint of it in Hindu eschatology. So when we come to the Qur'an and Islamic eschatology, Allah speaks about a shadow which will come to the world, and He warns mankind about the shadow, and the shadow will come with three parts. Now then, let us teach a very simple subject in the methodology for the study of the Qur'an, and I hope my viewing audience will show a little patience with me, because the subject is hardly ever taught. The Qur'an says that there are two kinds of verses in the Qur'an. One are verses which are plain and clear, and all that you need to do is explain them. These are ayah muhkama. And Allah says about these verses that they constitute the very heart of the book. They are Ummul Kitab. They have a very high status. But then He speaks about a second kind of verses. And these are verses which cannot be understood unless they are interpreted. And these are called ayat mutashabihat. But they are not a part of Ummul Kitab, or the heart of the book. They don't have the same status as those verses which are plain and clear. But these verses which have to be interpreted are also important. They are a part of the Qur'an. And in the same way that the Qur'an has verses which have to be interpreted in order to be understood, similar with all scriptures. And when you interpret a verse of the Qur'an, you say, when Allah said this, He meant that. When you interpret a verse of the Qur'an, you must always say, Allah knows best. Because only Allah can confirm that an interpretation of the Qur'an is correct. If you interpret the Qur'an and your interpretation is correct, then it becomes truth, and truth will survive. The dogs can bark, but the caravan will keep on moving. But if you interpret the Qur'an and your interpretation is wrong, you will still be blessed for the effort that you made and for having the sense to say Allah knows best. And tomorrow that will go down the river of no return and be forgotten. So when I interpret the Qur'an, when Allah says, بَعْدَ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ انطَلِقُوا إِلَى ظِلٍّ ذِي ثَلَاثِ شُعَبٍ, proceed to a shadow comprised of 3 parts. No one, just no one has the authority to say, my explanation is the final word. No one has the authority to do that. Only Allah can confirm that an interpretation is correct. And we have the freedom to interpret the Qur'an. No one can stop us from doing that. So now then, I am interpreting this verse of the Qur'an and I'm saying Allah knows best. When Allah says, "Intaliku ila zillin zi salasi shurab," proceed to a shadow comprised of 3 parts. And Allah is warning about this shadow. So this is not a good shadow, but warning. It's a shadow which brings punishment. My interpretation, and Allah knows best, is that the shadow is the Antichrist, Dajjal, al-Masih al-Dajjal. I have spent years and years and years of my life on the study of the end time. I don't think any scholar has devoted as much effort and time in this age as I have done to the study of the end time. And I have written so many books on the subject, on the end time. So I do deserve some respect when I offer a view on the subject. I say that the shadow is Dajjal, the false Messiah, the Antichrist. And he has a profile with footprints of 3 parts. He wants to rule the world from Jerusalem. And when he rules the world from Jerusalem, he will declare, I am the Messiah. In order to do that, he, number 1, has to liberate the Holy Land, which is under Muslim rule. Number 2, he has to bring the Jews back to Jerusalem to reclaim it as their own. 2,000 years after they were expelled and Allah banned their return. Number 3, he has to restore a state of Israel in Jerusalem and get people to accept, particularly the Jews, that this is holy Israel of Solomon, Nabi Sulaiman, and David, Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. And number 4, he has to cause that state of Israel to become the ruling state in the world, as it was in the time of Nabi Sulaiman, Nabi Dawood alayhi salam. Only then can he stand up in Jerusalem and say, I am the Messiah. Of course, that would be a lie. He would not be the Messiah. The Messiah is the son of Maryam, Jesus, the son of Mary, who came, who left, and who will return. So now then, I have mentioned in my book, Jerusalem in the Qur'an, which was written 25 years ago. That's a long, long time. That in his effort to rule the world from Jerusalem, he passes through 3 stages. 3 stages. In the first stage, he created Pax Britannica, where Britain became a ruling state in the world with an obsession with the Holy Land. And it was a British army which conquered Jerusalem in 1917. A British general who then declared the Crusades are now over. It was Britain which declared in 1917 something called the Balfour Declaration, that it is Britain's intention to establish and support the creation of a Jewish state, a Jewish homeland in Palestine. Then it was Britain who ruled over Palestine with a mandate delivered by the League of Nations from 1917 to 1948. It was Britain who presided over the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, and Britain which has consistently supported that Israel. But then came a period of time when Pax Britannica began to decline, and that was the First World War and the Second World War. And by the time the Second World War came to an end, Britain's day in the sun was coming to an end, and the United States was taking over from Britain, and a Pax Americana was replacing Pax Britannica. And this was the second stage of Dajjal's 3 stages. And when the Pax Americana came, the US dollar replaced the sterling pound. And Washington replaced London as the ruling capital in the world. And the United States now began the effort to take over from Britain in ruling the whole world. As Britain once ruled the world, Pax Britannica, the sun never sets on the British Empire. By 1914, when the First World War started, Britain controlled every single important naval base in the whole world. So now then, the United States of America begins to replicate Britain. And this is stage 2 of the Dajjal's mission. And the United States of America creates maybe 1,000 military bases all over the world. The United States want to rule the world. The whole world must submit to the United States. And this is Pax Americana. And the United States maintains the same obsession with Israel, like Trump now still has with Israel. The whole world is condemning genocide in Gaza, including Trinidad and Tobago. But no, Trump still supports Netanyahu. And Trump is still in support of Israel, and his party in support of Israel. This is the obsession with Jerusalem and Israel, and this is Pax Americana. So in my book, Jerusalem in the Qur'an, published 25 years ago, I argued that there is a third stage of the process still to come, and that Pax Americana will give way to Pax Judaica. And that's where we are now. Pax Americana is now in irreversible decline, and it has to give way to Pax Judaica. We take a little break now. Bismillahi awwaluhu wa akhiruhu. We were saying that there is a movement from Pax Britannica to Pax Americana to Pax Judaica. That in the same way that Britain ruled the world, and the British pound was used to help Britain to rule the world, and that was the first stage of 3 parts, and then the United States replaced Britain, and the US dollar replaced the sterling pound, both bogus money, and the same obsession that Britain had with Jerusalem and with Israel, the United States had the same obsession up to this day with Jerusalem and the state of Israel. But our Islamic eschatology said 25 years ago that there is a third stage of the process still to come, and it will be a Pax Judaica. And now we have arrived at that moment in history when the United States is showing signs of irreversible decline. And the United States dollar is in a difficult situation. And we want to use this background of Islamic eschatology today with David Abdullah, who is a respected political analyst who was with us last week. And now, since the last time we had a session, we had this kidnapping. That is the correct word. That is the correct word. The kidnapping by the U.S. government and the U.S. armed forces, kidnapping of the president of Venezuela. Ostensibly, we were told, for matters connected with drug trafficking. But now the worst kept secret ever is out. The reason why they kidnapped him is because they want Venezuela's oil. But that's not the whole story. There is much more to the kidnapping of Maduro than simply Venezuelan oil. It is not just the United States of America flexing its muscles in this backyard of the Caribbean, but making a statement around the world.